Hello everyone, welcome to Statup Academy. So in today's lecture, we shall be discussing about the natural vegetation and I will try to cover up the whole chapter within this lecture and we shall be discussing about the PYQs as well. So be with me throughout this lecture. So let's begin with the lecture. When we say the natural vegetation of India, the natural vegetation the natural vegetation refers to the vegetation that is growing on its own. It is not that we are using certain sort of fertilizers or the seeds in order to make it grow, but that is natural process like the sun's rays are coming to us directly. We are not using any pipeline in order to grab the sun's rays. So that is the natural way how it is coming to us. So similarly, the forest covers that are found in India that are growing naturally is basically referred to as the natural vegetation of India. So when we talk about the natural vegetation, there are the certain sort of factors that basically contributes that what type of vegetation would be found. So first of all, the thing that basically comes to our mind must be the rainfall, the distribution of the rainfall. And since we all know that the type of climate that India has is basically the monsoon type of tropical monsoon type of climate that India possesses. Therefore, there's a huge variety of vegetation that could be found because there are certain areas that receive most of the rainfall, there are certain areas that receive very less rainfall, there are certain areas that receive limited amount of rainfall. So therefore, on the basis of, we can say, the type of rainfall that is coming, the type of soil that is found, the relief features around which it is there, so on base and the type of soil, of course, because the plant has to ultimately grow from the soil. So another natural treasure that we have is soil. So therefore soil also affect the type of vegetation found in particular area. So we shall be discussing about it. Okay, the first is the concept. Let's get to the concept first. The concept says that the natural vegetation refers to what? Okay. The natural vegetation refers to the plant communities that grow naturally without direct human interference or primarily controlled by. So the things that are basically controlled by the climatic edaphic. Edaphic refers to the soil regions, the soil, the types of rocks, and such things that is known as edaphic. Physiographic, like mountains are there, rocks are there, like physical features or the relief features that are found, and the biotic features, biotic like the environment, the air, the water, and such sort of things. Then we have is India exhibits one of the richest vegetation diversity. So on this, the question could be asked like, why is it said that India has a diverse vegetative propaganda in its area? Like, so you will have to explain, you will have to mention all the types of vegetations found in India. Why it is having diverse? Because the question is coming from the climatic part, because we have a diverse type of climate. The India experiences diverse rainfall ranges, and certain areas receive more rainfall, certain have less rainfall, due to which there is climatic variation, and due to that climatic variation we have the other factors that affect too, but climate playing the major role. Therefore there is diversity in the vegetation as well. Another thing is what are its factors? Its factors are nothing but it is due to the monsoonal climate, wide latitudinal extent, varied relief, and diverse soil types. Soil types also play a major role. Therefore we have diverse vegetation that we're gonna cover today. Now they are saying what are the factors basically controlling. Since we have limited the factors over here, therefore we can describe them in detail as well. First of all is the climate. Climate, we all know that the amount of rainfall the forest cover receives basically intensifies, either intensifies it, or it can just degrade its value. Like if it is receiving large amount of rainfall, therefore the tropical monsoon type of forest would be found. And if the area receives very scanty rainfall or no rainfall, there you can find certain sort of bushes, thorns, like that. All right. So that's why seasonal rainfall plays great role. Then we have the temperature. If the temperature would be cold enough, therefore the leaves would be somewhat in order to sheath from the external environment. But if the temperature is hot enough, the leaf would be such that will be losing less amount of water from them, but would be losing large amount of heat, because you all know that the plants undergo the process known as transpiration, that is removal of we can say the water from the leaves of the plant, that is the process of transpiration. Therefore, according to the temperature, the conditions are maintained. Then we have the humidity, insolation, again how much amount of sun is coming, how much amount of heat and other gases are coming, so that has also to be taken care of. Now, the southwest monsoon largely determines the vegetation patterns. Then we have the type of soil, like black soil gonna be supporting the cotton. Alluvial soil is basically found in deciduous one. Laterite soil, again evergreen. So which type of soil supports which type of climate is also very important. So respectively, I have mentioned in this PDF what type of soil will basically affect the quality or the type of forest cover that will be found in that particular area. Then we have the relief features and the altitude. Relief feature and altitude are again related to nothing but the temperature conditions. Therefore, it becomes, we can say, it becomes variable on different levels, that what type of climate, or sorry, what type of vegetation would be found. Like you cannot expect people living in Shimla or Himalayas having the same vegetation as the people living on the plains. Therefore, it has to be taken great care of. Then we have the biotic factors like deforestation, how much deforestation is there, how much grazing is there, how much industrial area have grown. So these are the biotic factors. Bio refers to the living beings. Next, we have the classification. So a question could be asked, what are the factors controlling the natural vegetation in India? So if you will mention all these points, along with what does natural vegetation mean, you would be getting all 5 marks of yours. And explaining them in just the amount that is mentioned over here is more than enough for an officer to mention them in your examination. Next, we have the classification or the natural vegetation. When we talk about its classification, since we have discussed what type of vegetation is found, so let's discuss about its classification as well. So classification says that you all must have studied these classifications in your small classes like 8, 9, 10, 10th. Just a small revision is required and you will be ready to attempt an answer question, sorry. Okay, we have the forest type, the rainfall conditions that are required, and the major regions that are in which certain forest cover is found. Another topic that you can create on this is basically species. You can include in this, or another thing that you can include is type of soil. So certain things will basically act more, we can say, make it more creative, or we can say easy to learn and grasp. So when we talk about tropical evergreen forest, we have the amount of rainfall is 200, and the region it is found is Western Ghats, Northeastern Ghats, Andaman and Nicobar Island. When we talk about the, we can say the soil, the type of soil that is found, so we can write it over here. Laterite soil is found. Like this, you can just include this whole passage and you can make it look more attractive. Okay, then we have the tropical deciduous type of trees which require very less rainfall. The highest amount of rainfall is required by tropical evergreen because they need to remain evergreen throughout the year. Therefore, this much amount of rainfall has to be there. So you can mention the species like rosewood is there, sandalwood. There are major other species that are again found. Timber, like this, you can mention so many. When we talk about the tropical deciduous, they say the tropical deciduous has alluvial type of soil and the amount of rainfall that it requires is 70 to 200%. When we talk about the tropical thorn type. It says that it requires desert type of soil. It required desert soils. So desert soils again found in deserted areas where you can find what? Cactus, or you can find cacti. Again, thorny bushes could be found which will be having pods, or you can say which will be having the spines. Okay? Why are those spines on those uh, why are the spines found on that particular area? So that the amount of water content it can hold is not lost by the process of transpiration, as you have been just told. Then we have the montane type, that is the hilly type of soil we have. Majorly red soil is found, and here you can also mention the black soil, because where there is cotton grown, there the black soil is grown. So when we will talk about the soil and resources, there we shall be discussing about all these type of soil and the things or the crops that are grown in detail over there as well. Then we have the mangrove type. Mangrove means tidal, where there would be so many tides, like deltas would be formed. At those particular regions, you would be experiencing mangrove type of forest. And since it is mentioned saline, so saline refers to somewhat salty things. Next, when we talk about this table has to be learned, has to be grabbed in your mind, and has to be completed by you, so that whenever you will answer any question in your PYQ, I will show you a PYQ based on mangrove type. So it came in your PYQ. So that way you can answer your question. Then we have the major type of natural vegetation in detailed version. Let's see. The detailed version says that okay. For the tropical evergreen, as we have just studied that the amount of rainfall that it requires is more than 200. The temperature conditions you can mention if you want to, but mentioning the rainfall is important. Then what are its characteristics? Let's see about the characteristics. It is dense. Why it is dense? Because receiving large amount of rainfall makes it dense. It is multi-layered forest with no fixed leaf shedding period. Multi-layered, that means if leaf is growing now, one must have dropped, two three must have come, again two three must have grown, then five six must have dropped, like that. The it never remains bare, therefore it is multi shedding period. Like the period, like a time when we say that the tree is quite dry because of the monsoon season, or we can say because of the dry season, because of the cold season. So such trees do not have shredding period. That means they remain evergreen throughout, therefore the name suggests evergreen forest. Then we can say they have high biodiversity. High biodiversity refers to huge biodiversity, the varied amount of biodiversity, because the living period is increased as they are evergreen throughout. Now the important species, they say that ebony, mahogany, rosewood, rubber, cinchona and bamboo. You can learn any three, mostly any four, but three would just suffice your marks. The regions, as we have just mentioned in the table, so those are the regions that are receiving major rainfall, that are near towards the sea, where where the moisture laden winds come more, basically are known to have the tropical evergreen type of forest. Then we have the tropical deciduous forest. Deciduous forests are also sometimes asked by their name, known as monsoon forests, which are receiving the 100 to 200 centimeter of rainfall. As you have been told that since they are evergreen, they require large amount of rainfall, most high rainfall you can say, and then the less amount, or the second one, are the deciduous type, which says teak, sal, shinchan, bamboo, arjun. So most of the species are basically common because they require same climatic condition. If there is just a variation, so you can include those in this as well. All right. Then we have the dry deciduous. Dry deciduous, it is between 100 to 200. The rainfall range has to be learned. So it will have 70 to 100. And again, those same species are found. But here we can say the places have changed because the variation in the rainfall comes along as you are changing the location. Then we have the tropical thorn forest. When we talk about the tropical thorn forest, no, no, 0.3. 0.3. Is that only 4.4? When we talk about tropical thorn forest, the rain division says that it should be less than 70 because more than 70 will give rise to deciduous type. And when we talk about the characteristics, they say that they are xerophytic adaptations. That means they would be having long roots, and due to presence of long roots and thick bars along with the small leaves, that means the amount of rainfall received is 70, but the amount of water that is lost by the process of transpiration will be reduced so that the water can be recovered in the plant itself and could be retained to soil so that the soil can maintain its fertility, and most of the nutrients could be grabbed from the soil itself by the plant so that it can grow even in less rainfall ranges. That's why the xerophytic adaptations are important. Next, we have the species that are found, that is babool, date, palm, europhia, and the cacti. Regions are again those places which are receiving less rainfall, that is the Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana, or the rain-shed areas of Deccan plateaus. They have certain type of forestation. When we talk about montane forest, the name suggests that such species would be found at a place where the relief feature is playing the major role. Therefore, we have the subtropical region where the height is mentioned, due to which chir, pine, oak is there. Temperature conditions are quite high. If the temperature conditions are met, you will be finding deodar, fir, spruce, and cedar. When we talk about alpine, mosses, lichens, short grasses, and juniper, such species are also found. And where are these species lying? These are basically the hilly areas, that is the hills of Nilgiris and the Himalayas, because as the name suggests, it says nothing but mountains. Here you can mention about the temperature condition, because these are nothing but the short grasses in natural vegetation which require less to no rainfall. Therefore, mentioning about the temperature will be more beneficial to gain marks. Then we have the mangrove forest or the tidal forest. Again, another name could be asked in the exam. Therefore, you need to learn about this. Tidal forest, that means found in the areas where tides are there, and tides are found in the areas where there are deltas. So basically the most important delta that we know is Sundarban delta. So tidal forests are basically found in the deltaic region where there is Sundarban's delta. Then they are found in the coastal deltaic regions influenced by the tides. Special root system called pneumophores for breathing are there, because there are certain regions where the tides are there, due to which the shifting of the deltas always occurs. And when the long roots would be there, those long roots are having certain sort of roots. Those roots will be influenced by certain factors, due to which the shifting of the tides will lead to the shifting of the roots without affecting the upper portion of the plants, or we can say the forest. Therefore, such forests are basically found in the areas where the tides occur. So occurring of tide leads to the shifting of the tidal, we can say the delta, and due to the delta there is the shiftment in the plants. So shifting a plant from one position to another, that refers to the movement of the plant. And in order to move the plants or the forests use their root system, which is basically very beneficial. Then we have what type of species we have. It is Sundari, Rhizophora, and Avicenna. The regions are again nothing but the Sundarbans delta. The major portion of the tidal forests are found in Sundarban deltas, or you can also use the Kaveri deltas. Now coming to the question, the most awaited moment, coming to the question, that is the PYQ question. We have two questions we have, so we can solve them together, which says that Okay. The question says, describe the major types of vegetation of India, explain the factors responsible. The first part of this PDF contains every every single point that is required in this question. So you can mention about the natural vegetation, what major types of natural vegetations are found, and what were the factors. Factors were the rainfall, the climatic factors were there, the type of soil was there, europathic factors were also there. So all those factors you can mention along with the altitude and the temperature conditions that were varying, due to which the natural vegetation of India has also shown variation. So those factors you can of course mention. Along with, they are saying they describe the major type. So while describing, you can at the end you can just make the detailed version of that particular data, so that the checker or the one who is checking your notebook knows that, okay, this person knows most of the things. Like this you can mention. Then we have the discuss the ecological significance of mangrove forests. Mangrove forests are those forests that were found in the mountains of hilly regions where cedar, teak, sal, certain sort of vegetative species were there. They were having certain sort of temperature conditions as we have just discussed. So let's see what is their ecological balance or the significance that requires. Obviously, since the things are found on the hilly areas, the mountain areas, that is the Nilgiri Hills or the Himalayas, the ecological balance is there. Ecological balance, what says that if you are deforesting, like deforestation is there, therefore the landslides would be there. With the landslides, if the flooding comes, like melting of the ice caps can cause flooding as well. So if the flooding comes, or if there is a cloud burst so will not be able to help. But if there is somewhat like that, we know that the we know that this is the part of the soil. This is soil, and here the plants will grow. Plants will be having the roots inside in the soil, and these roots will bind the soil together. Soil is binded over here. When the soil is binded and when the air comes, since on the top floor we do not have any loose soil, therefore when air comes there will be no flow of the soil. But when if they won't be having any soil binding, when the air will come, this loose soil will flow and will cause nothing but soil erosion. Due to soil erosion, our land will be disrupted on higher level and will be called, in certain time it will be known as barren. So therefore, the first thing that the roots are doing is binding the soil. Another thing that they are doing is, when the flood will be there, when the floods would be there, the water would be coming and roots would be seeping the water. They would be collecting the water, actually collecting, or you can say that they would be seeping the water. So sweeping of floor won't be there, but sweeping of water inside the roots would be there, due to which more of the water will be retained in the roots or the soil, and less of the water will be flowing. When less water would be flowing, the amount of water would be less. Therefore, the destruction caused will be less too. So therefore, it can improvise the flooding conditions, or it can also help in soil erosion. And again, they are providing oxygen, as we all know. So most of the oxygen will be given. Again, ecological balance, and major amount of CO2 will be taken. This is also leading to the cooling effect. So most of the cooling effect will be caused by the absorption of CO2, because CO2 when entraps or is entrapped inside the earth's atmosphere, it causes heating. So heating has been prevented. So what four factors you can write? First you can write about First, you can write about the oxygen, the major thing, then the CO2 absorption, again, the second major thing. Then they are improvising the afforestation condition, that is by preventing soil erosion. Then, during the floods, also, they are very helpful. So, like this, you can mention the four major points which are helpful in your ecological balance. Also, they are important during certain sort of landslides, so that is again becomes important. So let's see what the answer says. Answer says that mangrove forests protect coastlines from the erosion. As we all know, at the coastal areas, there is major sort of, we can say, the tidal version, or the, we can say, the flood prediction could be more. So therefore, it prevents it from erosion. Then act as breeding grounds for marine life, supports biodiversity. This you can mention as the major point as well. And as a function of carbon sinks, the Sundarbans represent the largest mangrove forest area. So in this answer, while answering this question, what you can mention is, you can simply write about the details. Details includes what? Details like conditions, like rainfall we have, species you can include, temperature conditions on areas where it is found. Firstly, you will explain what mangrove forests are. Then you will come to ecological significance. You need to explain what ecology means and how it has its significance. So those four factors you can mention. Another factor you can mention is about the supporting biodiversity. And if you need any of these factors, you can also mention them. Next is the area also you need to mention where such forests are found. So this is how you can basically answer the question that is asked. So like this, we can grab 10 marks when we will attempt any question from this chapter known as Natural Vegetation Found in India. So this is how you have covered 10 marks and of course a chapter or a topic. So geography 2 topics are covered, and tomorrow an assignment shall be uploaded, so you can do practice that assignment. And if you are facing any doubt, you can just ask them. You can call us or you can ask in the comment section. Till then, keep watching and stay blessed.
Statup Academy presents Lakshya 2027 for serious ISS aspirants.